How many battles have you lost in your mind before the first sword was even drawn? How many times have you surrendered your strength because you could not bear to look dark truth in the eye? Today you will learn what no gentle teacher will ever share with you. 10 laws drawn from the shadows of Machiavelli. Laws sharpened by the fires of Epictetus to make you unstoppable. Not merely strong, not merely good, but truly unbreakable, forged in a place beyond illusion. Most men wander through life in chains they do not see. They fear judgment. They fear betrayal. They fear conflict. They kneel to their own comfort, thinking it is virtue when it is only fear in disguise. But you have found this place, this voice. And if you have the courage to walk through the darkness with me, you will emerge holding powers that no tyrant, no manipulator, no storm can ever steal from you. These 10 Machiavellian principles, disciplined by the iron of Stoicism, will not teach you how to please others. They will teach you how to rule yourself, how to stand unbent, how to face the cruelty of the world with a clear mind and an unconquerable heart. Number 1. Expect betrayal, and you will never be surprised. Machiavelli spoke of human nature without illusions. Men are ungrateful, fickle, false, cowardly. He wrote as one who had watched dukes embrace allies by daylight and poison them by nightfall. Epictetus, no stranger to treachery himself, warned plainly, if you expect nothing from the world, you will never be its slave. Too many souls are shattered by betrayal because they live with the softness of a child's dream. They wish for perfect loyalty, unbreakable trust, eternal love untouched by the world's rot. They build their hopes upon shifting sands and then wail when the tide sweeps their illusions away. Steel yourself. Betrayal is not a rare thunderclap. It is the steady rain that follows the harvest of human desire. Learn to see it as the weather. Unpleasant, yes, but inevitable. A harsh wind you can shield against, but not command. When a friend turns against you, you will not collapse if you have already accepted that men are creatures of shifting interest. When a lover abandons you, you will not drown if you remember that all hearts may someday wander. When your closest allies fail you, you will not break if you never built your entire worth upon their applause. This is not bitterness. This is clarity. Caesar, mighty beyond measure, fell not from a Roman spear, but from Brutus's dagger. A dagger he should have known would find his heart. Napoleon, Lord of Europe, fell because he trusted Talleyrand's silky words, forgetting that ambition rarely shares its crown. You must expect them all, Brutus, Talleyrand, even those who call themselves your brother, and yet love them in your own way. You can still trust, but trust with eyes wide open. You can still serve, but serve with your spirit armored. In this manner, you will not be disillusioned, for you will carry no illusions to shatter. You will still live freely, for your soul will not be chained to childish dreams of perfect loyalty. A Stoic walks through the world knowing that men will sometimes lie, sometimes cheat, sometimes abandon, sometimes harm, and yet he remains free, because he does not place the key to his happiness in their trembling hands. Build your heart upon stone, not upon the shifting sands of others' promises. Count betrayal among the natural costs of human association, like taxes, like storms, like the passing of years, and still stand, still live, still give. For the world cannot truly wound a man who expects nothing from it beyond its nature. Number 2, trust slowly, forgive even slower. Machiavelli warned, he who believes too readily will soon be ruined. He spoke of princes undone by the soft poison of easy trust, of kings deceived by honeyed tongues, of men who built their thrones on false alliances and found the blade buried in their back. Epictetus reminded, be careful whom you invite into your mind, for they will build a house there. Every guest you allow past the threshold of your soul can leave behind ruin, parasites of thought, rot that consumes your peace. Most men throw open their gates to every smiling face. They give their trust as if it were endless grain, scattering it to the pigeons of the street. They believe that generosity of trust is a virtue, that unconditional openness is proof of their nobility. And then they wonder why they are betrayed, trampled, mocked, left to weep over a loyalty that was never returned. Understand this. Trust is not a gift. It is a weapon, a double-edged sword. Given to the wrong hands, it will cut you to the bone. Train your trust like a hawk, not a barnyard bird. Test, observe, measure. Let your heart be slow to yield, not out of cruelty, but out of a profound respect for its own worth. You do not feed every passing beggar from your private table. Why, then, would you feed every stranger with the keys to your mind? Forgiveness, too, should not be a cheap coin. The world preaches endless forgiveness as a universal balm, but Epictetus would have scorned such laziness of spirit. If a man wrongs you once, weigh carefully whether he deserves the chance to wrong you again. True forgiveness is not a performance. It is an oath to release bitterness. But that does not mean you must embrace the betrayer again. A Stoic forgives to free himself from hatred, not to invite the scorpion back into his bed. Remember Caesar, trusting Brutus with his confidence, with his hopes, with his throne, and dying beneath the conspirator's blade. Remember Epictetus, a man who was a slave in chains, who yet preserved a kingdom in his own mind because he guarded the door of his soul. He did not allow worthless men to define him, to shape him, to poison him with their own cowardice. If you must forgive, do it as a sovereign. Release your anger, but do not restore trust cheaply. If they have changed, if they have earned back their place with their sweat, then weigh it in the scales of justice. Otherwise, let them go. Let your mind be a fortress, your trust its iron gate, and stand within those walls like a king, calm and unafraid. For no empire is overthrown from without until its gates are opened from within. Number 3. Master appearances. Machiavelli wrote, "Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are." These words, drawn from centuries of observing treachery and ambition, stand like a dagger against your illusions. Epictetus taught, appearances mislead, but reason reveals. He knew the human eye is easily fooled, that men love symbols more than substance, that their gaze is shallow, and their judgment is swift. Understand this, the world is a stage of untrained minds. They cannot see your private battles, your secret fears, your quiet resolve. They see only what you show them. Therefore, a powerful mask is not a lie, it is a shield. A careless mask is not honesty, it is weakness laid bare for scavengers to feast upon. You must craft your appearance with intention, as a blacksmith shapes iron. Let your calm be iron, let your silence be bronze, let your posture stand like a marble statue. Show the world an image it cannot break. Within, you may tremble, your spirit may battle confusion and rage. But outwardly you stand unshaken, the surface of a mountain unmoved by storms. Marcus Aurelius knew plague stalked his empire, that revolt might tear it apart. And yet he showed his legions no hint of terror, no trace of despair. He stood before them with eyes of polished stone. They took courage from his mask, and in turn gave him their loyalty. Machiavelli counseled princes to display virtue, even if they had to sew it into their very flesh. He did not celebrate hypocrisy, but he understood a deeper law. Men follow what they can see. They obey confidence. They rally to an emblem. You must be that emblem. If you appear resolute, men will think you cannot be shaken. If you appear just, they will fear your anger. If you appear compassionate, they will welcome your mercy. But let no one see you undone. For once the world glimpses your weakness, it will grow hungry to devour you. This is not deceit. It is the highest strategy. To guard your true self, you must build a mask strong enough to resist the gaze of friend and foe alike. Learn to hold your face like a banner. Learn to stand as though the gods themselves invested you with unearthly calm. Learn to move slowly, with the dignity of a sovereign. The man who controls how others see him controls the first move on the battlefield of life. And on that battlefield, the first move is often the last that truly matters. So forge your mask with care. Reinforce it with discipline. Polish it with patience. Let it be your armor until your spirit within grows strong enough to match its shape. For there is no shame in wearing a noble mask, only in allowing the world to carve one for you. Number 4. Control the narrative, or be controlled by it. Machiavelli understood better than any priest or poet that the world is ruled by stories. Men in general judge more from appearances than from reality. Words are the chains that bind empires and the sparks that set them aflame. Epictetus, who refused to let a cruel master define his soul, commanded plainly, "Do not let another man interpret your story. If you do not seize the pen, if you do not speak your own myth, the world will write one for you. It will be ugly, small, and false, for the world loves to diminish what it cannot control. And then, worst of all, you will believe their fiction. You will wear their labels as if they were your own skin. Refuse. Craft your story as a sculptor carves marble, with intention, with discipline, with fire in your veins. Let your words, your deeds, your posture, your choices, all of them be brushstrokes on the canvas of your legend. Alexander was born of mortal stock, but he let the world believe he was born of gods. And because he lived that myth so completely, men followed him across deserts and mountains, willing to bleed for his dream. Julius Caesar refused to be known as a bankrupt nobleman. Instead, he made the world see him as the savior of Rome, the restorer of its glory, even when he crossed the Rubicon with treason in his hands. This is no invitation to lie. The lie rots the spirit and poisons even the greatest cause. But you must guard your truth as a lion guards its cub. You must choose your words with ruthless clarity. You must decide how you will be remembered, and then live in harmony with that vision. If you are silent, your enemies will paint you as a coward. If you falter, they will call you a traitor. If you are strong, they will say you are cruel. Let them see what you choose them to see, no more, no less. This is not deception. This is sovereignty over your image. Your narrative is the shield that protects you, the banner that rallies your allies, the blade that cuts through doubt. Write it, speak it, defend it. Do not let any rival, any gossip, any slanderous tongue shape the book of your life. For the book will outlive you, and a distorted tale will bury you twice, once in the flesh and once in memory. If you are finding this path worthy, then pause, like the Stoic, like the Prince. Subscribe, share, join this gathering, because what waits beyond this lesson will raise you even higher. Stay with me. Number 5. Learn to wield fear, not just courage. Machiavelli, that dark mirror of the human soul, wrote plainly, "It is better to be feared than loved, if you cannot be both." He had watched too many well-loved rulers be torn apart by mobs whose love vanished with the scent of weakness. Epictetus, whose chains had taught him the weight of true power, answered with this, "Do not desire to be feared, but do not fear to be feared." There is a wisdom here that most men never grasp, blinded by childish dreams of universal approval. Fear, when used with discipline, is not cruelty. It is a line in the sand that says, "This far, and no farther." It is a cold fire that warns the world of your resolve. Your calm should be legendary, your patience as vast as the ocean. But your fury, let that fury be a thunderclap no man dares to provoke without cause. The shepherd who cannot strike the wolf will lose every sheep. The king who cannot strike the traitor will lose every throne. Leonidas of Sparta commanded the loyalty of his 300 precisely because they knew he would hold the pass or die trying. His fearsome nature was not a cruelty, but a vow to stand until death. Abraham Lincoln, soft-voiced and gentle in heart, let it be known that he would shatter the Union itself rather than let it rot from within. The world feared him because he was willing to do what had to be done, no matter the price. You must learn to cultivate this same boundary. Let your friends know you are generous, forgiving, slow to anger, but let them also know that your line exists, and that if it is crossed, you will defend it without apology. Keep your fearsome side like a blade sheathed in velvet, calm, resting, but sharp beyond measure. Never be the tyrant who leads with threats. Such men burn quickly and fall to ashes. But be the sovereign whose sense of justice is so pure, so unwavering, that it carries a quiet terror. It is not evil to be feared. It is only evil to desire fear for its own sake. You are a fortress, and the world must know where your gates stand. Your boundaries define your worth. The Stoic commands, rule yourself first, and then let the world see that your rule will not be challenged. The Prince commands, do not fear the world's fear, or it is the coin by which respect is bought. Keep your calm, cultivate your patience, but let the flame of your final stand burn bright enough that all who see it will think twice before they cross you. If your courage is your right hand, let disciplined fear be your left. Together, they make you unstoppable. Machiavelli, whose eyes had seen the puppeteer's strings behind every throne, declared with brutal simplicity, "Gratitude is forgotten the moment it is inconvenient." He watched noble patrons discard loyal servants as soon as their usefulness faded. He saw alliances wither as soon as repayment became too burdensome. Epictetus, a man born in chains yet free in mind, warned, "Do not put yourself in a position where your freedom depends on another's whim." Understand this. Obligation is the invisible yoke that binds men more surely than iron. Most people mortgage their souls for small comforts. They trade their liberty for crumbs, their integrity for shallow praise, their tomorrow for a crust of bread today. They smile and call it gratitude. But gratitude without power is slavery in disguise. You must stand apart. If you borrow, repay swiftly, like an honorable warrior repaying a blood debt. If you accept help, balance the scales with your own effort and your own gifts. And if you cannot repay, refuse the gift. Walk away hungry rather than kneel for scraps. The man who owes nothing cannot be threatened. He cannot be manipulated. He cannot be led by a leash of guilt or shame. Caesar, who had conquered half the world, still found himself vulnerable to daggers on the Senate floor because his debts chained him to senators who despised him. He relied on men who hid knives behind their smiles. Epictetus, a slave by birth, refused to owe anything of his mind, his reason, his moral freedom, and thus he remained unconquered, even as a master commanded his body. If you would be truly powerful, guard your independence as a wolf guards its den. Refuse the cheap bribes of temporary safety. Refuse the golden cage. If you accept an obligation, pay it fully, without delay. And if you sense a debt you cannot ever repay, do not take it upon your shoulders, for you will bend your neck forever. This is the way of the Stoic prince, to be beholden to no one, to answer only to reason and virtue. This is the way of the free. No tyrant can rule a man who owes nothing. No false friend can twist the spirit of one who is self-sufficient. No promise can trap the one whose hands are clean of debt. Pay your debts or carry none, and you will walk the earth as Epictetus walked, as a king even in rags. Number 7. Master the power of retreat. Machiavelli, that merciless reader of human nature, taught the simplest battlefield wisdom. He who retreats lives to fight another day. A truth older than kings, yet so often ignored by those whose pride outpaces their reason. Epictetus, who lived through storms of fate as a slave and a teacher, reminded, if the ship sinks, swim away. Better to swim than to drown in illusions of false bravery. Most men see retreat as shame, as a stain upon their honor. They would rather be crushed, burned, annihilated than admit defeat. But this is foolishness dressed up as courage. The wise know that retreat is not surrender, it is strategy. There will be times when you cannot win, when the cost of victory is higher than the worth of the prize, when the battlefield is poisoned by lies, or the wind of fortune has turned against you. In those moments, a true Stoic has the courage to walk away. This is not cowardice. This is discipline, owned like a perfect blade. Napoleon, who could humble kings with a single charge, had to retreat from the snows of Russia. He left the fields frozen with corpses so he might save the heart of his army to fight on another day. Had he stayed, all would have perished, and his empire with it. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher-emperor, withdrew from hopeless campaigns rather than drain the lifeblood of Rome upon feudal soil. He sacrificed temporary honor to preserve a greater lasting strength. You too must learn to measure. Learn to see the difference between what is lost forever and what can yet be remade. Let go of the unsalvageable, so you can guard what is truly precious. The Stoic prince does not die upon every hill. He does not cling to every failing hope. He steps back, rebuilds, watches, and waits for the next horizon to appear. The coward flees from every battle. The fool refuses to flee any battle. The wise retreat when it serves a higher purpose. Master this, engrave it upon your bones. If you can let go when the fight is lost, you will always keep a piece of your power alive. And from that small ember you can ignite a new campaign, start a new victory, a new destiny. To stand unbroke does not mean never bending. It means knowing when to step back so that you can strike again with greater force. Let retreat be your secret art. Disciplined, calculated, patient, and you will never be truly defeated. Number 8. Think with cold reason, act with warm courage. Machiavelli, who watched princes fall by their own extremes, wrote with the precision of a surgeon. A wise ruler must be a fox to recognize traps, and a lion to frighten wolves. Epictetus, who had chained his passions to the chariot of wisdom, reminded, reason is the root of freedom. This is a blade that cuts two ways. Too much cunning without courage leaves you a snake, slithering in fear, paralyzed in endless plots. Too much courage without reason leaves you a fool, charging straight into the abyss with no plan and no purpose. You must be both. Let your thoughts be cold as a northern sea. Study, weigh, measure every possibility as if you were a general placing soldiers on a map. Count every cost. Strip away illusions, wishful dreams, fantasies of guaranteed victory. Reason is your shield against ruin. But once you have decided, let your heart blaze like a lion's. Move without hesitation. Strike with the force of a thunderbolt. Courage is the spear that turns a plan into destiny. Marcus Aurelius, philosopher on the throne of Rome, pondered every campaign with the mind of a scholar. He calculated, doubted, consulted the gods and the winds of fortune. But once his path was chosen, he became iron in motion, unstoppable, unwilling to bow to fear. This is the Stoic's way. This is the prince's way. It is easy to freeze forever in calculation. It is easy to leap recklessly with no thought at all. The hard road, the road of those who build legacies, is to blend these two into one perfect strike. Measure with the mind of ice. Act with the heart of fire. Reason alone is a prison if you never move. Courage alone is a funeral if you never think. So weigh your choices with cold detachment. Let no flattery sway you. Let no threat rush you. Let no dream blind you. Then, once your reason is satisfied, let your courage roar. If you live by this law, you will not only survive, you will conquer. You will stand where others fall, because they choose only one half of the blade. Be fox and lion. Be Be philosopher and warrior, be ice and fire, and none will be able to predict you, match you, or stop you. Number 9. Accept being hated. Machiavelli, who saw princes murdered for their virtues as often as for their vices, wrote with a brutal certainty, "You will be hated if you stand firm." Epictetus, who tasted both insult and iron shackles, taught, "If you wish to improve, be content to appear foolish." Here is a truth most men refuse to swallow. If you dare to live by principle, you will become the enemy of the lazy, the cowardly, and the cruel. You will offend those who wish you to bow. You will anger those who need you to join their weakness. They will hate you. Let them. They will call you arrogant because you will not bend. They will call you merciless because you will not pity what should not be pitied. They will name you harsh because you refuse to reward their vices. Let them. Their hatred is not a punishment, but a confession. Their scorn reveals they cannot break you. They fear your freedom. They fear your independence, your unwillingness to be bribed, your refusal to kneel. A man who needs to be liked is a puppet for every hand that flatters him. A man who fears hatred will be twisted by every rumor, steered by every complaint. You must stand beyond that reach. You must become as a stone tower in a storm, unmoved by every crashing wave. Be feared by those who would chain you. Let your resolve be a terror to the manipulator, the gossip, the traitor. Let them see that their venom cannot pierce your armor of principle. In their hatred, you will find your crown. In their scorn, you will find their surrender. Marcus Aurelius was hated by conspirators who envied his calm, and yet he ruled them all. Machiavelli himself was hated by men who feared the power of his mind, and yet his words outlived kingdoms. You, too, must accept this price. If you stand for something unshakable, you will be hated, but you will be free. Better to be a lion whose roars offend the sheep than a sheep who dies nameless and trampled. Wear their hatred like a cloak of royalty and walk on, unbowed. Number 10. Remember death. Machiavelli, who saw men ruled by the shadow of the grave, wrote with an unflinching hand, "The fear of death is the lever that moves kingdoms, breaks armies, and slaves minds. It is the tyrant's favorite chain, more binding than any iron." Epictetus, who watched cruelty and plague devour countless men, freed himself from this terror with simple words. "You are immortal. Behave accordingly." Understand this. No tyrant can hold you if you remember death. No insult can pierce you. No betrayal can shatter you. The worst that any enemy can do is hasten what nature has already guaranteed. When you look each day into the mirror and see your own bones, you become ungovernable. When you wake knowing you stand upon the edge of eternity, every hour a borrowed gift, you become unstoppable. What insult matters, if tomorrow your flesh will be dust? What betrayal can destroy you, if soon all men return to the same silence? What petty rival can sway you, if the sun itself will one day burn out? Remember death, and you will see through the illusions that make men slaves. The illusions of reputation, the illusions of gold, the illusions of comfort, and the illusion of power. All of them vanish beneath the simple raw truth. You will die, and so will your enemies. This is the final dark power, the Stoic's most terrible weapon, to stand beyond fear because there is nothing left to lose. To greet life with gratitude, knowing its impermanence. To greet enemies with calm, knowing their blades cannot wound the soul. Marcus Aurelius carried this remembrance as a torch through plagues, through conspiracies, through wars. It was the one truth that gave him perfect clarity. You must carry it too. Say to yourself each dawn, "I could die today." And say to yourself, each dusk, "I could die tonight." In that memory, you will find freedom. You will find the courage to act. You will find the serenity to forgive. You will find the strength to walk away from anything that poisons your spirit. No tyrant can command a man who has made peace with death. In this, you will be free. You have stayed with me until the end, because the weak will turn away halfway, unwilling to confront what must be confronted. But you have stayed. You will walk out, carrying a sword no enemy can withstand. And so I ask you now, which of these 10 will you make your iron law? Which of these has been most missing from your life? Tell me below, because your story may save another wanderer in this world. And if this knowledge has struck something inside you, then pause, like the philosopher. Subscribe, like, stand among us. There is more yet to forge. Join me in the next gathering, where the wisdom and power wait for you, ready to remake your destiny stone by stone. Until then, remember, cold reason, warm courage, silent strength, and a will that bends to no master. You will not be stopped.